Thank you for your work as a note-taker. You carry a vital role in the equal opportunity for success of your fellow students. This course is intended for students in post-secondary programs who will take notes for students with varying types of disabilities. However, the note-taking skills discussed will benefit any student. While this training focuses on note-taking for students with disabilities, these techniques will help you no matter who receives your notes, and they will help you take better notes for yourself. Upon completion of this training, you will be able to explain the need for note-taking as an accommodation, identify a variety of note-taking strategies, utilize various note-taking techniques to create comprehensive class notes, apply the note-taker's code of ethics, and behave in a professional manner. In order to be eligible for your end-of-semester compensation, you need to complete the pre- and post surveys as well as the course for every training provided during each semester you are a note-taker. So what exactly is note-taking? Note-taking is creating a written record of the main points and supporting details of a class, including the lectures, class discussions, demonstrations such as labs and videos or films shown in class. Even the best notes are not a word-for-word record of everything said by the teacher and others in class. How is note-taking for other students different from taking notes for yourself? When you know that someone else will be using your notes, you must be extra careful to record all vital information completely. Even if the teacher says something that you already know, you must include it in the notes. This means including things like major topics or themes, basic concepts, new or difficult vocabulary, assignments, class announcements, tests, quiz, and project due dates. Taking notes for some students with disabilities is a challenge. As an example, students with hearing loss receive classroom information in a variety of ways, such as watching a sign language interpreter, watching captions, or speech reading. The one thing all these methods have in common is that they require the student to visually attend in order to receive the information. While these students can take some quick notes for themselves, if they attempted to take complete notes, they would miss much of the lecture. This is one reason note-takers are so important to the educational process. When students with disabilities do not have to worry about taking their own notes in class, they can focus totally on the instructor, interpreter, or captionist as needed, get involved in classroom discussions and activities, reflect back and recall to class later, know they will receive a useful study guide, be confident that they know about assignments, tests, and other important information. Knowing the two aspects to taking good class notes and considering what will be done with your notes following the lecture is important and will assist you in preparing to take notes. There are two aspects to taking good class notes: understanding the information that is being taught and recording that information in a clear and useful form. One difference in taking notes for students with disabilities is that the notes will need to be submitted electronically in order to be provided to multiple students in your course who need notes provided as an accommodation. This can be done in a variety of ways. If you handwrite your notes, photocopying and scanning can be done at the Disability Center and saved in a PDF format. The Disability Center staff will then upload your notes to MyAccess for you. If you take notes in a Word document, you can submit your notes to our database as discussed in the previous training called First Steps. Being prepared to take notes is vital to your success in being a note-taker, so along with having your supplies ready, you must also be ready for the class. This means you must complete assigned readings prior to class. It is likely that much of the class notes and discussion will be based on the assignment. If the professor refers to a page in the textbook, write it down. It may be helpful later on. Bring along any handouts or materials relevant to the class. If the instructor uses handouts or posts information on a course management system such as Canvas, be sure to print copies of these materials and bring them with you to class. Arrive on time so you don't miss any announcements. Sit in front of the class. This will help you to concentrate on the professor and ignore distractions during class. Consider writing down some main points before the lecture to help you follow along. This can help you keep from feeling overwhelmed when you are being hit with so much information. Review the syllabus or class outline so you know what to expect. Today you will find that some professors record their lectures and many professors put their notes on the school's learning management system, such as Blackboard or Canvas, to be used by their students. That does not mean that you should tune out and take a nap. There are several things that you can do in order to be prepared in this situation. Make sure you have printed out a copy of the notes and bring them with you to class. This is a great chance to focus on what is being said and supplement the notes with any key points, examples, and main ideas. Use the professor's verbal and nonverbal cues to help you decide what and where to supplement the notes. Use a system of abbreviations and symbols to point out important material. Okay, so what is important to note? Often instructors use jokes, anecdotes, stories, or observations to make the class more interesting and lively. The goal for the note taker is to identify what the teacher says that must be included in the notes. The following phrases can clue you in on important information that is coming. Now this is important. Remember that. The important idea is, the basic concept here is, you'll need to remember this. You'll need to understand this before you can move on to that. This will be on the test. One way to make your notes easier to follow is by listening for when the teacher is beginning or ending a major topic or idea. Certain phrases tend to lend themselves to be introductions to a topic or idea. Examples of introductions are, I want to talk about, let's look at, and we are going to focus on. Examples of conclusions are, therefore, as a result, and all of this shows. Sometimes the teacher will provide a structure you can use in your notes. For example, if the teacher says, there are 5 basic reasons for this, you can listen for and number the 5 main points. Other structural cues are phrases like, there are 3 reasons why. The first example is, for instance, in addition, on the other hand, however, and in contrast. So now that we have seen what you put in the notes, let's look at how you do it. The red stars indicate the following points discussed. Headings. Each page must have a heading that includes class name or number, date and time, and the page number. Indicators. Indicators are used to emphasize special importance or show significance to a word or text embedded in the notes. Some examples of the indicators are circles, boxes, clouds, stars, or indenting and underlining. Margins. Leave 1.5 to 2 inches on all sides of the page to keep notes from looking crowded and to give the student room to add his or her own notes for later. References. When the teacher refers to a textbook, video, or other source, make it clear. Whitespace. Whitespace is created when you skip lines between ideas. Whitespace on a page makes the notes easier to read and allows students to add their own comments. When a page is packed with writing, it is hard to see what is important. Abbreviations. If you will need to write the same name or term many times, use an abbreviation, being sure to say what it is and use it consistently. For example, in 1498, VDG arrives in India, VDG meaning Vasco da Gama. Signal important information. Use a box, star, or other indicators to mark important information such as key formulas or concepts, assignments and due dates, class announcements, and whatever indicator you use, be consistent so it means the same thing every time. Indicate speakers. Note if a comment came from someone besides the teacher. Some indicators that note takers use are SA for student answer, SC for student comment, SQ indicates student question, TA indicates teacher answer, TC equates to teacher comment, TQ equates to teacher question. Charts, diagrams, and drawings. If a concept is easier to convey as a picture instead of words, do it that way, especially when the teacher provides a model. Make sure you label diagrams correctly. Indicate activity. Try to reflect activities other than lectures, such as demonstrations and videos or other media. There are different formats for taking notes. Some formats will work better for specific classes or lecture styles. Sometimes a combination of methods can be effective as well. However, each student should choose a note-taking format which best fits his or her individual learning style. In this section, we will review the following note-taking formats: text and paragraph, outlining, 2-column, and 3-column. Paragraph format allows you to write notes as sentences in paragraph form. When using paragraphs, keep the following statements in mind. Each sentence should express a complete thought. Use full sentences. Keep paragraphs short with space in between, and make sure important information is not buried in the text. Most students are familiar with the outline format. Outlines provide a strong structure for notes. It is important to remain consistent in your outlining. Additionally, each level can be a short phrase or even a single word. It is also important to leave space to go back to an earlier topic if necessary. When using an outline, label the levels. A common arrangement is Roman numerals for major topics, capital letters for the next level down, numbers for more specific information, and lowercase letters for details. In two-column notes, the larger columns should be used for basic notes and details, while the smaller columns call out key information using single words or short phrases. When using two-column formats, fold the page or use a ruler to make a straight dividing line. You can also purchase notebooks which are made for this style of note-taking. A three-column format is similar to the two-column format, but includes an area for questions or notes to yourself. One model for this format includes a 2-inch column for key concepts using single words or short phrases, a 4-inch column for detailed notes, and a 1-inch column for questions or reminders. Many classes are not presented in a lecture format. Some classes have presentations, show images, have small group work, or are review of a test. We will discuss best practices for these types of courses. When class is devoted to student presentations, write student presentations. Note the topic of the presentation and indicate key points of each presentation. If class is spent working on assignments in small groups, write a heading such as group work and a description of the assignment. When class is spent reviewing a test, note test review, stating what the test was on. Take notes that include the correct answers to each question and any additional learning points. Before handing off your notes, you should go back and check that they are complete, correct, and clear. When you clean them up, you should check for spelling, label and indicate important information, add key concepts to 2- and 3-column notes, rewrite any sloppy or illegible words, make sure any false starts or material to be ignored is completely crossed out, add headings or number lists to provide additional structure, and consider adding the cover sheet found in your online resource page to record important information. If you can answer yes to the following statements, your notes are ready to be turned into the Disability Center. Does each page have the class name or number, time, date, and page number? Is the paper and letter size? Is only one side of each sheet used? Are my notes in black ink? Is my writing legible? Is the spelling accurate? Is any important information labeled? Is there enough white space? Did I use meaningful diagrams and drawings? Did I reflect any classroom activity? Did I use abbreviations that are clear? Note-taking is an important service. It is important for our campus to provide students with disabilities equal access to their educational career. As a note-taker, you are expected to work professionally and responsibly with the students whom you provide notes, the instructors, and the staff members who oversee the program at the Disability Center. So what are your expectations as a note-taker? In order to preserve a certain level of professionalism, you are expected to do the following tasks. Arrive to class on time and early if possible. Take adequate, clear, concise, and legible notes throughout the class period. Attend all classes. If you are unable to attend a class, it is your responsibility to arrange for a substitute note-taker for the duration of your absence. Check the spelling of unfamiliar names and terms in the notes. When appropriate, you may ask your instructor to review your notes for accuracy. Provide copies of notes in a timely manner. Communicate effectively with the Disability Center should any problems arise, and know the policies and procedures for providing notes. The following are a few of the things that you will want to determine and know being a note-taker. It is preferable that notes are provided via a Word document. However, if you write out your notes, you can come to the Disability Center to have your notes scanned into an electronic version. Notes should be provided within 1 business day of the class. Notes should be uploaded to My Access or emailed to mudcnotes@missouri.edu in the event you run into difficulties uploading your notes. If you have a problem while being a note-taker, please contact the Disability Center as soon as possible. The identities of students with disabilities will remain confidential. Only with the student's permission will the person's name be shared. You are not responsible for informing your instructor of the student's absence or questions. You are also not responsible for reviewing homework completed by the student for whom you take notes. If another student asks you for copies of your notes, direct them to the Disability Center for appropriate resources. As in most fields, note-takers are held to a code of ethics. As a note-taker, you should keep all assignment-related information strictly confidential. In the event you are made aware of who in your class you take notes for and/or why they need this service, you should not share this information with other individuals. Note-takers should transcribe lectures as faithfully and completely as possible. Transcribe does not mean a word-for-word record of everything the instructor says. However, note-takers must provide a useful and correct set of notes the students can use to study and complete assignments. Note takers should not use notes to advise, interject personal opinion, or counsel students. Class notes should reflect the instructor's meaning and intent without added commentary or opinion. There are times note takers may want to add their own ideas, especially when they are knowledgeable or have strong feelings about the subject. However, the note taker's role is to convey the instructor's ideas and opinions only. Note takers should not counsel or advise the instructor or students. The note taker's job is to create a tool, but they are not tutors, advisors, or counselors. They can work with the student as a peer or friend, but should not assume a formal role beyond taking notes. If there is difficulty that the instructor can address, such as talking too fast or not providing enough time to copy overheads, the note taker can bring it to the instructor's attention, but in the context of taking better notes for the student only. If there is a difficult issue, bring it to the attention of someone with a more formal role, such as a disability staff member. Note takers should choose assignments appropriate to their experience or skill in the subject area. Note takers should be at good standing with the university, performing well in class, and be familiar with basic concepts and vocabulary. Note takers should behave in a manner appropriate to the situation. Note takers are still students, but they are also part of the educational team that supports students with disabilities. As part of that team, they need to take their role seriously and can display this by attending every class, arranging for a substitute when they cannot be there, completing all readings and assignments, maintaining their own grades, and completing note-taking tasks responsibly. Thank you for participating in our Effective Note-Taking Strategies training, and thank you for working as a note-taker. Should you have any questions about either this training or your work as a note-taker, please feel free to contact the Disability Center. We can be reached via email at mudcnotes@missouri.edu, by phone at 573-882-4696, or in person at South 5 Memorial Union. Our business hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m.